Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome to e-seminar Kewangan Islam Kebangsaan 2020. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Kedah State Zakat Board for inviting me to present one of the papers in this seminar. The topic of my paper is Zakat distribution in achieving sustainable development goals and assisting those affected by COVID-19 in the state of Kedah. My name is Dr. Yusuf Haji Osman. I'm currently serving as a senior lecturer at the Center for Islamic Finance, Education and Research, or CIFER, University Islam Antarabangsa Sultan Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah, UNISHAMS. As of right now, all countries in the world have implemented various strategies and efforts to address the spread of COVID-19 pandemic crisis that we are facing right now, including the so-called MCO, the Movement Control Order. So the question is, if the Movement Control Order prolonged, let's say until the end of the year, what are the effects? Some of the effects are, number one, retrenchment. Some of the workers might have to be retrenched because of the shutting down of the operations of the company due to reduction in domestic and foreign demand following the Movement Control Order. And the other effect is the high cost to the government to meet the needs of the people. Malaysian government has introduced a stimulus economic package in the amount of 260 billion ringgit in order to help those affected by the Movement Control Order. And number four, the effect of the MCO is the foreclosure. Some people will have trouble to pay back their loans, and there'll be a debt foreclosure because of the inability to pay back the loans. And number five, there'll be pressure on all producing countries, including Malaysia, due to the lack of demand for oil because of the MCO. And last, and most important, is the food crisis because of the lockdown or MCO. So, the purpose of this study are, number one, to analyze the role played by Kedah State Zakat Board in achieving certain sustainable goals, which are to end hunger and to eliminate poverty. And number two, to examine the role played by Kedah State Zakat Board in alleviating the burden faced by Asnaf during the COVID-19 crisis. And number three, to suggest ways to increase zakat collection in order to help reduce the anticipated deficit currently faced by Kedah State Zakat Board during and post COVID-19 crisis. Review of previous studies. There are some studies who have examined zakat distribution, and one of the aims of zakat distribution is to help Asnaf to get out of poverty. However, we found that previous studies put less focus on the role of zakat institutions through the development of education to address poverty problems, according to Osman et al. 2019. Besides the poor and the needy, zakat is also distributed to mu'allaf, and the schemes provided to mu'allaf in the state of Negeri Sembilan and Selangor are very good, and they complement each aspect of maqasid syariah and also complement the various sustainable development goals introduced by the United Nations. And zakat distribution could be used to achieve certain goals, such as providing quality education. And according to Hamza 2019, zakat distribution must be, to a larger extent, used to impact life learning skills, education on all levels. However, the effectiveness and success of the zakat distribution depends on zakat collection. Therefore, efforts to increase the zakat collection should be strengthened from time to time to enable more assistance to be channeled to Asnaf groups. And there are some studies who have examined the determinants of zakat compliance. And this study selects two determinants, which are attitude and religiosity. The evidence so far has demonstrated that there have been mixed evidence regarding the influence of attitude on intention and the influence of attitude on compliance. And there are also voluminous studies which have examined the impact of religiosity. Some studies have provided empirical support for the positive influence of religiosity on compliance, such as Zainal, Kamil, Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Rizal, Muhammad Akir, and Wan Fadilah 2013, and so on. However, there are studies such as by Kamil 2002, which found that religiosity had a negative influence on zakat compliance areas. Research design. There are two types of the data used by this study. Number one, this study uses secondary data and employs descriptive analysis to analyze zakat distribution and its link to sustainable development goals. And the same design is used to analyze the role of zakat in alleviating those affected by COVID-19 in Kedah. And besides secondary data, this study uses primary data to examine the determinants of income zakat to come up with suggestions to increase zakat collection. Findings and discussions. To answer objective number one, which is to analyze the role played by Kedah State Zakat Board in achieving sustainable development goals. As shown in table 1, zakat was distributed to 7 core sectors: cost of living, health, housing, business, education, misfortune, and development. The top of the list is the cost of the living sector, which received 41% of zakat distribution. This data indicates that the Kedah State Zakat Board put the highest priority to the first core of zakat distribution based on the Sustainable Development Goal, which targets to eliminate poverty in all its forms, in all places, and also to achieve the second core of zakat distribution, which is to eliminate hunger. The first SDGs objective is to eliminate poverty for all people around the world, or at least reduce the proportion of people living in poverty by 50%. And the second SDG attempts to eliminate hunger and safeguard that all people, particularly the poor and the needy, can obtain safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. And education receives the second highest distribution at 45,673,000 ringgit, or 32.19% of the total zakat distribution. This is in line with the fourth core of zakat distribution, which targets quality education for all, in order to ensure comprehensive and equitable quality education, and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. There is a sense of urgency to assimilate sustainable development into formal education, informal and non-formal education opportunities. And the development sector received the third highest distribution of 13.16% of zakat distribution. This is in line with the fifth core of zakat distribution, which targets to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. It is worth mentioning that improvement in employment would impact the goal to eliminate poverty and end hunger. Therefore, there is a need and necessity to face the challenge of ensuring employment for all, particularly the youth. Besides giving zakat assistance, Kedah State Zakat Board needs to provide proper training and skills, as well as educate the recipients and equip them with necessary skills and tools to increase the generating employment opportunities for them, not only to be ready to be employed, but also to be ready to be entrepreneurs. In summary, this study reveals that zakat distribution in the state of Kedah, Malaysia, was in line with sustainable development goals, and there is great potential to achieve the sustainable development goals. However, its success still depends upon the amount of zakat collection. Furthermore, the relations between different sustainable development goals needs to be further examined. To answer objective number 2, which is to examine the role played by Kedah State Zakat Board in alleviating the burden faced by Asnaf during the COVID-19 crisis. This study finds that Kedah State Zakat Board launched a system called Asnaf Care, that the community can work together to crowdfund in the effort at providing food supplies to those who have been cut off from food following the Movement Control Act, which began on March 18, 2020. And to ensure that the sufficient zakat funds were available for distribution at such critical times like this, the Kedah State Zakat Board would open up opportunities for the public to contribute and to serve those in need of food. The system was launched primarily because of the deficit currently faced by Kedah State Zakat Board. The Kedah State Zakat Board collection record as of March 26, 2020 has shown a deficit of almost 8 million ringgit, because the total zakat collection amounted to 31.6 million ringgit, while the zakat distribution has reached 39.4 million ringgit. Through Asnaf Care, the Kedah State Zakat Board is aiming to raise about 36 million ringgit, 36 million ringgit, which could benefit about 700,000 families over the next 6 months that is expected to face the slow economic impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. To begin with, the Kedah State Zakat Board has already distributed 57,600 food supplies and 172,800 cans of sardines to food banks at all 576 masjids in the state of Kedah. This distribution is in addition to 17,280 sets of monthly distributions to existing food supplies in all masjids in the state of Kedah. It is anticipated that the distribution of food supplies for the first phase will benefit 74,880 families affected and disconnected from food supply due to the movement control order in the state of Kedah. And to answer objective number 3, which is to suggest ways on how to increase zakat collection to help reduce the anticipated deficit faced by the Kedah State Zakat Board during and post-COVID-19 crisis. To answer that objective, we have to see what are the determinants of compliance behavior. This table shows that there are 3 significant determinants to compliance behavior. And we will only discuss only the first 2, which is the attitude and Islamic religiosity. This study revealed that attitude and religiosity are significant determinants of intention, and intention is a significant determinant of compliance behavior of paying zakat. So this finding is very important because despite weak law enforcement on zakat compliance, attitude plays a significant role in influencing intention, which in turn influence the compliance behavior of income zakat. And also, because zakat is a religious obligation, religiosity plays a significant role as a determinant of compliance behavior intention, which means the higher the religiosity, the stronger the intention to pay zakat, and hence the higher the compliance behavior, which would influence the increase in zakat collection. So based on the findings, this study would like to propose that the methods of promotion be diversified. Kedah State Zakat Board has done an excellent job in using Facebook, SMS, WhatsApp, and other ICT facilities. And this should be continued in order to shift the attitude towards the compliance behavior of paying zakat. And in a time of crisis like this, the eligible zakat payers must be convinced that their compliance does indeed help other people. It is no longer time to be thinking only about oneself. We cannot be self-interest. But during the crisis like this, it is high time to think about others who are in desperate situations. So this study recommends, in addition, this study also would like to recommend that Kedah State Zakat Board make an annual budget plan in the future. And the budget plan comprises the annual estimate of zakat revenue or zakat collection and expenditure for the year 2020 and beyond, so that the board would not run into deficit like at the present time, and also would avoid running into deficit in the future. So as a conclusion, this study reveals that Kedah State Zakat Board has made important and successful strides towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as alleviating those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. Although there is a great potential to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as to assist the COVID-19 sufferers, its success still depends very much upon the amount of zakat collection. The zakat collection needs to be increased further up to the target collection to have enough funds to be distributed to the recipients and also to avoid running into deficit. So this study proposes that the methods of promotions are diversified and the marketing strategy needs to be further explored in order for the income payers to have a paradigm shift in attitude and also to increase their religiosity. And last but not least, this study would like to recommend that Kedah State Zakat Board make an annual budget plan in the future, which comprises the annual estimate of zakat revenue and expenditure for the year 2020 and beyond, so that the annual deficit could be reduced, and aiming at balanced budget might be a way to go. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.